All right, let's talk about crypto investing. It is an absolutely wild world out there, full of huge opportunities for sure, but also so many ways to make a costly mistake. Today, we're going to break down the biggest pitfalls so you can build a strategy to navigate it all safely.
So just to get a sense of the sheer scale we're dealing with here, the total market value for all cryptocurrencies has soared past $2.6 trillion. I mean, just to put that in perspective, in 2024 alone, Bitcoin's performance has smoked traditional giants like the Nasdaq and the S&P 500. This is not some niche hobby anymore. It is a global asset class that has everyone's attention.
But, and this is a huge but, with that massive opportunity comes an equally massive risk. The FBI reported that in 2023, investors lost a staggering $5.6 billion to crypto fraud. That's a 45% jump from just the year before. So that really sets up the core challenge, right? How do you get in on the upside without getting wiped out by the downside?
So where do all these risks come from? Well, before we even start talking about hackers and scammers, we have to start with the person in the mirror. Honestly, some of the absolute costliest mistakes come from our own psychology and just not having a plan.
Okay, trap number one is overinvestment. It is so tempting to just throw money at something that's shooting for the moon, but that's pure emotion talking. Most financial experts will tell you that for the average investor, crypto really shouldn't be more than, say, 5 to 10% of a healthy, diversified portfolio. The oldest rule in investing is the most important one here. Never, ever invest more than you are truly prepared to lose.
Now, if you're going to survive in crypto, you have got to understand a key part of the culture: HODL. It stands for hold on for dear life. And believe me, it is a mantra for a reason. These markets can swing like you wouldn't believe. And that impulse to panic sell when everything's dipping it's intense. HODL is about having the discipline to stick with your strategy and just ride out that volatility so you don't turn what might be a temporary paper loss into a permanent, very real one.
But here's the thing, that conviction can't just be blind faith. It has to come from real, solid research. And this is where your mindset has to shift from being a simple trader to thinking more like a venture capital investor. You're not just buying a ticker symbol, you're betting on a team, on a technology, on a vision. And that means you've got to read the white paper, check out the developers, and really, truly understand the problem that project is trying to solve.
So once you've got your own head straight, it's time to focus on the threats coming from the outside. The crypto world can be a total playground for scammers, and they have a pretty predictable set of tricks they use to try and get your money.
First up is phishing. It's a classic scam, just with a crypto twist. Imagine this. You get an urgent email from what looks like your exchange. It says there's a security breach and you need to log in immediately. So you click the link, you log into what looks exactly like the real site, and bam! You've just handed your username and password directly to a thief. They're masters of disguise and they feed on your fear.
Next is the infamous rug pull. This one is huge with brand new, super hyped up projects. The developers build all this excitement on social media. They make these huge promises. They get a flood of investment. And then they just disappear. They pull all the money out of the project, the token's value goes to zero in a heartbeat, and everyone who invested is left holding a worthless bag.
And of course, the classic scams are still around too. Ponzi schemes are everywhere, often disguised as high-yield investment programs or HYIPs that promise these insane, guaranteed daily returns. So what's the secret? Well, there is no secret. They're just paying the early investors with the money that's coming in from the newer ones. It's a house of cards that is absolutely guaranteed to collapse, and when it does, the last people in lose everything.
And finally, you've got the pump and dump, which is all about weaponizing an investor's fear of missing out, their FOMO. Scammers will pick some small, obscure coin and just artificially inflate the price with a ton of coordinated hype. And as everyone else gets FOMO and rushes to buy in, the original group dumps all of their holdings at the peak. The price crashes, and they walk away with all the profit, leaving everyone else high and dry. So the crucial thing to remember is that you can usually spot these things a mile away, if you know the red flags. Any promise of guaranteed or risk-free returns, that's the biggest one right there. Same with any intense pressure to act right now, or unsolicited offers, projects with no clear white paper or an anonymous team. Look, in crypto, if it sounds way too good to be true, it almost certainly is.
All right, so we've looked at the internal mistakes that trip us up and the external threats that are actively trying to take us down. But here's the good news. A smart defensive strategy can protect you from both. It's time to build your crypto shield.
A really solid defensive strategy is built on 4 key pillars. It all starts with doing your homework, thorough research. It's grounded in smart risk management. It's protected by serious security measures, and it's maintained by just staying plugged in and informed, because this space moves fast. These aren't just suggestions, they are your core principles for survival.
Now, when we talk about security, there is no phrase more important than this one. Not your keys, not your crypto. Your private keys are basically the password, the cryptographic proof that you own your assets. Think of them like the deeds to your house. If you let someone else, like an exchange, hold those keys for you, you are placing 100% of your trust in them. You don't truly own your crypto. And this leads to a really critical decision. Where are you going to store your crypto? Using a centralized exchange is super easy. It's convenient for buying and selling, but as the collapse of FTX showed the entire world, it comes with enormous risk if that platform fails. The other option is a hardware wallet, which gives you total control. It's what we call cold storage. It's completely offline, safe from online hackers, but it also means you and you alone are responsible for your security.
Whichever way you go, some security habits are just non-negotiable. Always use well-known, reputable exchanges. Always enable two-factor authentication, 2FA, for that extra layer of defense. Your private keys and your recovery phrases have to be kept secret and offline. Never in an email, never as a photo on your phone. And before you log in anywhere, always double-check that the website URL is legit.
So, after covering all the risks, all the scams, and the solutions, what's the core mindset you need to walk away with? What's the thing that really separates a savvy crypto investor from just a gambler?
It all comes down to this. Success in crypto has very little to do with getting lucky on some meme coin. It's all about discipline. Your greatest assets are constant vigilance against scams, a real commitment to educating yourself, and having a clear, predefined strategy that keeps emotion out of the driver's seat.
So we'll leave you with this question. Now that you understand the landscape, the incredible potential, and the very real dangers, what's the first smart, informed step you're going to take? Whether it's just securing your accounts with 2FA or maybe setting aside time to read your first white paper, the power to invest safely is completely in your hands.